Welcome to the Be Student Podcast, and thank you for joining me. On today's episode, we sit down with Katie Bean, who's one of the top 30 Four Seasons global travel brokers. She owns Katie Bean Travels, and today we're going to help teach you how to move from transactional to transformational with some of her tips and tricks on culture, and we explore what luxury truly means. So let's go ahead and get started. Katie, welcome to the show. We're thrilled that you're here.
Thank you for having me, Betsy. I will say it is humbling to be here. I have just loved watching all the things that you've done with the Chamber. And I can say that as a Winter Park resident and business owner, it's just very special what you're doing for our community and all the opportunities you're giving our businesses. So,
well, that is so sweet. But I want our English listeners to hear that sweet little undercurrent in your overly Americanized now English accent.
Indeed.
This is one of the things we bonded on instantly. Tell everybody a little bit about your background and how you came to be a citizen of a couple places.
Okay, so born and raised in London. And
what part?
Watford. Elton John's football team might be a good reference.
Right on. We love it.
20 minutes outside of London. Grew up, and travel was just a massive part of our life, regardless of what situation we were in financially or how busy my parents were with work. They just prioritized travel. My dad had a business, and there was an office in LA and one in Orlando, and he had a big dream to come to the US. We joked throughout our, younger years about the company going public. When the company goes public, we're going to go to Florida. When the company goes public, he painted a picture. We're going to have this house, and we'll have a beautiful swimming pool, and you'll have a trampoline.
Well, he was really selling you guys on this. I love it.
He was manifesting, he was building that visualization. And when I was 16, I walked into the house one day, and they sat me down and they said, "It's happening. We're moving." And it was surreal. I did come kicking and screaming. It was not an easy thing to do at the age of 16. We'd been to the States before.
That's not an easy thing to do at any age. I moved my kids to London at ages 6 and 9. It was very difficult. Yeah.
And I think teen years are probably the hardest.
Yeah.
I just graduated high school.
But you got out of A-levels, so that's a
I got
good
out
thing.
of A-levels.
There we go.
I got to do a free year back at high school.
Yeah. That's what every 16-year-old dreams of. Yeah.
And so my parents, as you do, coming from England, the drinking age is a little bit lower. They said, "Hey, we're going to throw you a party for your birthday. We're going to go to the Bahamas, and we'll have we'll tell the neighbors that you're very mature." And so within, I think, 1 month of being in Orlando, I had the biggest party of the year.
And everybody thought you were the cool one to hang out with.
I went to school on Monday, and all of a sudden I had a whole new life. So,
oh my gosh. But I think it's interesting living in certainly in London, which is compressed and busy and congested and dirty. The weather's bad. I love England. It's my second country, but the weather is bad. We can agree on that, right? Yeah. And people say sometimes, "Oh, that's not a nice thing to say." I'm like, it's fact, right? Yeah. And it's dark. People don't realize how dark it is in the winter. It's getting dark at 3:30 in the afternoon. And so what was stunning for me when I moved over there was travel as an essential rather than a luxury. Yeah. And that's one of the things that you've talked about in the way you position what you guys do. Now, that's a very antithetical way to the way Americans approach travel. It's like, I'll get to it when the company goes public. I'll get to it when I have time. I'll get to it when I finish the third quarter, whatever. A lot of people in America don't use their vacation days, right? And in England, it's at the top of the budget for the family. It is, and it may not be luxury, but we're going to Alicante or we're going down to Sharm el-Sheikh and we're going to get us some sunshine, right? Yeah. And I just watched that happen, and I was shocked by that. I think some of that probably was for me. I grew up in Florida, and so I didn't need to get that vitamin D burst the way you really do when you live in a place like that that's limited with light and limited with sun. Talk about that difference and what happened to you when you watched those two cultures kind of like the change from one culture to another with respect to travel.
Well, I'll just start by saying it was pretty funny when I moved to the States. I did have that gloom carried with me from London. And my first day of school, I was in black pants and a black fur coat, and it was August.
Yeah.
So I had this cardigan and a chip on my shoulder, and all of my friends now look back and just laugh at, who I was back then. But
my mom asked me when I moved home from London, or when I was living in London, she goes, "Are you a stagehand?"
Yeah, exactly.
I was in all black all the time.
And here I am in all black today, which is not typical.
I've moved to navy, Katie. I've softened it somewhat.
I do love my color, but I felt it was important to wear my angel boots today, so it matched. You are right. In England, regardless of how much money you make, you are going to have a trip, and it's going to be exceptional. You save every penny. In England, I feel like people are so willing to cut the small things in their day-to-day in order to have a budget to do a really great holiday vacation, as we say here now.
Yeah.
And so the reality is, in Florida, it is easy to say you don't need a trip. This is where everyone comes. It's one of the most visited places in the world. But I think that travel is not just about finding sunshine. It's about escaping your day-to-day and reconnecting with the people that you love most, being present, finding new experiences, and I think most importantly, reconnecting with yourself.
Yeah. Right?
Because we're so busy and we're in this constant race here. In England, it feels more like you're working to live.
Yep.
And here we live to work.
Mm-hmm.
But just that escape from your day-to-day, whatever phase of life you're in, is a really important reset. And the Brits get that.
So I love that something that's so, and I can't state this enough for our American viewers, it's such a basic need in the English sort of.
It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, it's a non-negotiable. Whereas here it's a maybe we'll get to it, nice to have. But I love that thing that was a basic need imparted in you by your Englishness is now the thing that you're bringing to Americans, right? And we always try to go a little deeper on this podcast and understand, okay, yes, you're a travel agent. At the end of the day, you're a travel agent. But what makes you the travel agent, right? What's the differentiating thing? What's the thing that makes you special? And in prepping for this, I understand there's a quote that you love, that luxury is the absence of worry. So let's talk a little bit about that. Then we're going to go into the mechanics of what you do and how you do it. But I believe that's true. And I think that wealthy people aren't necessarily happier, because we've seen a lot of miserable wealthy people, but they don't worry because they know they can get through whatever it is that they've got coming. Talk a little bit about that. Luxury is the absence of worry.
Well, I'll go back to your, how do you stand out? There's travel agents and how can you be different? So we had a meeting yesterday with other advisors in the Orlando area, and someone said, you have a fork. How everyone has a fork. How do you make your fork different?
Yeah.
Right? And so we do talk a lot about how we can be different. And I think for a lot of people, when they consider luxury, they think big, shiny things. They think elaborate. To us, it just means everything is taken care of.
Yeah.
And that is a true luxury, to step off the plane and have someone waiting for you and escort you through customs, to have a driver with your name on a sign. I remember one of the girls that started working with us, she said, one of the reasons I hired her was because in the interview, she said, I just remember seeing all those guys in the airport with the signs and thinking, I want to be that person one day.
So let's come back to that for a minute. I want to unpack luxury a lot more. But, people sometimes think when they're hiring, they have to hire the person with the most number of degrees or the most number of hours spent, running QuickBooks or whatever it is. And it's actually those soft skills that we can't train that animate somebody in our eyes as the right candidate. So what you saw in her was passion for the luxury experience, and you can't train that, right? So when you saw that, and I want our viewers and listeners to practice what you just demonstrated here, think about what's that passion that they're demonstrating that you cannot train, because the rest of it, quite frankly, we can. It's on an app.
Yep.
We can show them how that works, and the rest of it, we can get there. But in order to achieve the target in luxury travel, you've got to really be switched on, right? Talk about that moment and what you look for in your people that work for you that are, they show up in all the cute green clothes. It's the most esprit de corps I've ever seen demonstrated on a team. They're all in. Everybody's been baptized down by the river on Katie Bean Travels. Tell us a little bit about how you do that. How does that happen?
So I think you touched on soft skills, right? Many of my employees will say how frustrated they were that I really didn't look at their resume and they spent a lot of time on it. I don't care what you've done. I care who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big missing piece in the workforce. I think it's why a lot of younger professionals don't get a chance because they don't have a resume yet. And so they're just pushed to the side. But some of these younger people, they have so much ambition and so much care and so much common sense and energy and wherewithal. And if they're just given a chance, it is incredible to see what they can accomplish. I think for me, I moved to the States. I had a brand new, start. I got into fashion. I immediately fell in love. I was so passionate about it. I was doing international business at FAU, and I couldn't concentrate on school. And so I left college and I went and I managed a boutique, and I took that path because it would just seem like the opportunity was right. And so now when I talk to someone in an interview and they say, well, I haven't done this and I don't have that, I'm like, I don't care. I just don't care what you've done. Just tell me who you are. Mm-hmm. Tell me why you want this job. Tell me why are you passionate about serving people? It's easy to look at our Instagram and say, wow, these girls are living the life, right? Mm-hmm. They're in St. Bart's and they're in Ireland. And
they don't know about the call you're getting at midnight saying my flight didn't come through and how do we make this work? Because I know you guys are always on 24/7. Yeah.
24/7 and it looks glamorous, but we are serving.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to serve and love people. You have to want that gratification of them emailing or calling and talking about the trip and how amazing this one little moment was. If you don't have that joy, then it doesn't matter what skill set you have and where you've been or, what qualifications you have. You just have to really care and want to create these experiences.
Well, and I love this piece because every luxury hotel I've ever been to, every luxury experience I've ever had, I thought, how do you get the people to deliver this to this standard? Because that razor thin margin between good and great is so hard to execute. And it's got to be executed consistently. No misses. It's just got to be the SOP, right? Yeah. And you have to hire for the person, not the experience. It's funny. You made me feel better. I just hired a new hire and I already knew, you kind of already know why you want to talk to this person. I remember in the interview, which was a couple weeks ago, I had to have my team print the resume so I looked like I was going to be speaking off of it. But I was like, I don't care about this resume. Right. I just want to know this person. I want to know how they think. I want to understand how we might get along together. But I thought he's going to think I'm a weirdo if I don't bring the resume to this interview. I want him to feel respected, like I did my homework and everything. Yeah. But I had decided weeks before I was interested in you based on the resume. And that's really just that's the label. You want what's in the tin, right? And so I love that you said that. But talk about how you go from that razor thin margin of good to great and the people that you hire that you can count on them.
If we expect the team to be fantastic, to be loyal, to be thoughtful, to truly care about our clients, they cannot do that if I don't care about them. And for me, culture is spoken about so often these days. You just have to care about your team, genuinely. I can't expect them to put their life on the line and be up at midnight.
Give me examples of how you do that.
How do I care for them?
How do you express care for your team? Because I know there's people sitting here thinking, well, I work remote. My boss is in Atlanta. I'm in sweatpants every day working behind a screen. I don't have a culture. Yeah. And the great strategist Peter Drucker said, culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? So if we're good at culture, we're going to kill this thing, right? Yeah. So what are some tips and tricks you have for showing care?
I think you have to give people grace, right? So I think it starts with that. I think that if you have someone who cares, you have to be willing to let them know, especially in an industry where they're new to industry and they don't have the skill set and the resume.
Right.
You have to be willing to let them fail. And it's not their fault. I actually love when people fail early on because it's such a lesson and no one wants to
We're never going to have to teach that one again. We're never going to have
to teach it again. So I almost set them up at times for small failures just so that they can rebound and reset and learn, but it's with a safety net.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
I
never
love that
going to
you're
affect.
proving to them, I'm going to let you fail because I want you to see how I react.
Right.
I want to prove to you that I'm not going to burn you down for doing
Right.
this, right? And they need that safety because there aren't culture norms being expressed in workplaces. People don't know what the rule book is. That's all gone, right? That disappeared in the blazing glory of the pandemic. Right? And so what remains, we don't know. We're making it up as we go along. I share with my employees that they're people first and employees second. So if something comes up with them, and this is going to sound basic to somebody who's my age, but to young people, I pick up the phone and call them immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. I just heard that this is happening in your life. I wanted to be present with you in this moment. I want to understand, what do you need? How can we accommodate your work schedule? Do I need to hire backfill talent for a month so that you can take some time off? How are we going to approach this together? I just need to be next to you so you know I see you as a person. You're not just some automaton that cranks out work for me, right? But we've got to go deeper than that. We're in this together. We're in the foxhole together. What are some of the other things you do that might be like that? Because I know you do this really, really well.
Yeah. So let me think of some examples. I think it starts with, we'll go back to the, small failures or mistakes, those will happen. And I think a lot of companies might find frustration. It could be something like, we thought the car service was included with this suite at this hotel and it wasn't. And now I don't want to tell the client and I feel so bad. And it's a big expense. I will pay for that to just move on from it. And they know that I have their back in that situation. Now there's, I'm sure, a million other situations that I could probably think about if I had more time, but it's
but
those
I love
small
that example because I have 3 ironclad rules of business, and one of them is to always play the long game, and the other one is to vote the relationship, not the task. So if you play the long game, this business comes right back around another time. You don't have to market to them anymore. There's no cost of acquisition when you do it right, and that means eating some expense. That means I've had to comp memberships because something went wrong. Right? I hate it when it goes wrong, but I need my team to see, no problem, we'll take care of it.
She's got my back.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is an awesome hack. And I want people to hear that because we're so transactional. And we hear young people, a lot of people who watch this podcast are young, say, I want to move from transactional to personal to transformational. They don't know how to do it. And you're modeling how you do it. You might have to eat some expense. You might have to do that just to show your team member that I got your back. And over and over and over again doing that, right? That they're empowered. You see these terrible customer service moments and they all come down to the employees not empowered. They're not empowered to handle the customer's needs. My employees are all empowered and they know that I will say, yeah, of course we're eating that because you're empowered to take care of whatever the customer needs. Your employees know that too. And that, I think, helps you go from that good to great moment. So you guys are operating in this luxury space. What does that mean? What does that really look like? We talked about luxury as the absence of worry, but it's also what?
What is luxury in terms of travel?
Yeah.
I think that it's creating space for people to truly connect. That is the biggest luxury is time. Right. So, many of our clients, they're very busy. They're working, they're, top executives at their job, or they're stay-at-home moms and they're in PTO and they're doing, so many things for the school and the community or fundraising. And their time is really precious. And so I feel like when they want to do a trip, it's not just any trip. It is the 1 week or the 2 weeks where their kids get to see them really present. They, they're not on their phones and working and doing laundry and doing all of these other things, right? They're together as a family. And so luxury for us is creating opportunity for them to build those memories together. Of course, it's beautiful hotels, right? I would be lying if I said that our business wasn't around that, because a big part of what we do is the ability to create a really warm welcome for people in hotels so that it feels like home. And it's not just about, it's not about the shiny chandelier. It's about everybody knowing your name and having these really beautiful welcomes when they come into their room. Something small, like we'll occasionally print a picture of the family so that when they check in, it's sitting there with their favorite treats and drinks. And it's a very small thing for us to do.
Whoa, that's really big. Okay.
They immediately feel home when they're away, right?
Wow.
And then I think luxury these days to me in travel is really about more local immersive experiences. People that want luxury travel, they're not necessarily looking for extravagance. They're looking to go and experience that place like a local. And so doing things like meeting with a local chef and going to the market and then going and cooking in his or her home, right?
Oh my gosh.
Going to a horse farm that isn't open to the public, and it's just a relationship that one of our partners' great-grandfathers had. And so we have an in there for someone who's really into horses, or a street art class in London, right? Where the kids get to go do a small piece of graffiti. It's sort of these cool local things that are becoming the important things.
And I just think about in the 80s, the idea of luxury travel was gilded brocade trim, and it was damask, rich damask things, and don't touch it, can't get on it. It's got to be larded with all kinds of layers of gilding and just kind of overdone stuff. And actually, my limited experience of luxury travel is that it's more pulled back now, and it's just exposing a kind of platform for connection that's been edited out of noise, that's had all of the worry taken out of it, all of the friction from life. But it's not this layered wedding cake of excess anymore, right? So tell us more about some of the trends in luxury travel that have been either disruptive or ones we can get excited about coming up.
Well, there's a huge trend in yachting.
God. Good news for me.
So I think luxury in general, just, having a privatized anything is luxury, right? The exclusivity of just having your family and not having any other noise you mentioned around. Right. So
that's one way to do it. Just get everybody on a yacht.
Get everyone on a yacht. And you can do a private yacht, but the Four Seasons has a new yacht. Armand has a new yacht. The bigger luxury brands are understanding that opportunity. And there's nothing wrong with cruises. Cruises are fantastic. It's an easy way to see the world. You don't have to be in and out of suitcases, but it can be busy.
You got to have dinner with those people you don't know.
You do. And so I think more of those exclusive experiences are what the luxury market is leaning towards.
Yeah. Okay. And what else besides yachting? I know that there's all these cool disruptions going on in hospitality. I think it's Marriott just bought these glamping sites, or Hilton did, all through national parks. And I'm thinking, wait, we're taking luxury into national parks, right? I mean, luxury glamping. I'm not sure that that's really that luxurious, but I love this idea of luxury that's getting disrupted by how starved we all are of attention, real attention, and real time and real connection. Are people purposely signing up for things where they don't have Wi-Fi?
They are, and that was my next.
Sorry, I don't have Wi-Fi. I love that. I just went on a cruise, and I was like, guys, the Wi-Fi is terrible. I'm just going to be out of office for 10 days. My life changed when I did that.
That's a luxury.
My life totally changed.
Yeah.
In 9 years of being in the role that I'm in, I have never put an out of office on my email, not once.
And how did that feel?
3 times a day, no matter where I was always on taking calls. You can get me at any time. I'd say to my employees, here's how to get me of my international. Here's my WhatsApp. Call me, no problem. And for the first time in my life, I said, I am going to put on an out of office. I'm unavailable. And something changed for me when I did that. And I also am in a new relationship. I just hit my first anniversary in my cute boyfriend relationship. And we went on that cruise, and I said, by the way, I don't want to meet any new people. I don't want to make friends on this cruise. I want to be with you, and I have to chit chat with people as part of my job. And I really don't want to make small talk with strangers on this cruise. And he was like, okay. And we just were together, and there was no noise, no interruptions. And it was funny because we had a big event go on while I was on this cruise, and I went to my VP and I said, I feel so bad. Are you okay if I do this? And she goes, quite frankly, Betsy, we don't need you here for that. And that's true for good leaders, right? If you're a good leader and you've built a good team, they don't need you. And I hope that people listening will have the courage to say that to a good leader. If they have one, you can go because we have all this covered.
Not
and
just
you've built out
right.
And I came back more patient, more curious, more present. You know, I'm starting to now observe how bad my social media addiction is and that I need to pull back from that, right? And I wonder if there's other people saying success for us on this vacation means I took my kids on a cruise and I said, I'm not buying the Wi-Fi package because I had teenagers and I'm like, I don't want to be competing with your phone the whole time we're on vacation. Is that a thing? Are people
100%?
Yeah?
100%.
Okay.
And I think that the other big trend in luxury is clearly wellness.
Okay.
Right. So it used to be a wellness resort was sort of the new big thing. Now every resort has a wellness component.
Okay.
First, it was just they had yoga classes, and that was their version of wellness. And then it moved into more meditation. Now they have sound bowls, and they have a hammam, and they have all these other.
I want a hammam and sound bowls. That sounds fantastic.
And it can sound granola, right? If you're not used to that at first, but when you go and have those experiences and you really do become present, you do show up differently. I can tell you my team, when I come home from a wellness retreat, they say, when are you going on your next one? We always want you to show up like this.
Seem a lot nicer
right,
now that you've been on that wellness retreat.
You are so much more patient once you've fed yourself, right?
Yeah.
We love to say you can't pour from an empty cup. When you are full and you've had time for yourself, you show up for everybody else and you're able to give a lot more.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed about you, we talked about how are you a different fork? And travel is such a noisy marketplace. There's so many different things competing for your travel dollars, and you're always getting marketed to on Instagram, and you're always, there's travel agents. And the one thing that I've noticed is right at a time when I could literally book my own travel, I don't want to. I want a travel agent to do it for me because I want the absence of worry. And I think you do such a great job at being a better fork by saying no. And one of the things that Steve Jobs was famous for when he was doing the critical infrastructure building of Apple was saying, we're going to remove, I think it was like 165 SKUs and we're going to have 3 SKUs. And that's how Apple became good at what they did, is focus. And I love the way you've said no to things that aren't what you guys do. Can you talk about that? Because on this podcast, we've talked about how young people should be saying yes to everything. They should be going to every networking thing. They should join every club. They should whatever. But also there's real power in saying no so that you can differentiate and people can understand where to file you and what you do and what you don't. How do you make that happen? Because I think that's really one of your superpowers.
Well, I appreciate that. I think it all starts with intention, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every year at Katie Bean Travels, we pick a word. And last year was intentional.
Oh, what's the word for 26?
Aligned.
Aligned. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're piggybacking off of intentional. But I think in the beginning, when you start a business, you should be a yes person.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be a yes person in order to succeed. You don't know what the business could need. You don't even know who your real client is until you test it.
Right.
So I think as an entrepreneur, my advice to anyone young, new, even if you're not an entrepreneur, if you're starting out something new, you have to say yes. Yes is the formula to learn what works and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
As you curate your client list, as you understand where you really shine, you have to start saying no. And that's not just to streamline the business, it's for the benefit of your clients.
Yep.
We have some really fantastic clients. And when we first started out, we said yes to everything. We booked every hotel. We booked the cruises. We booked anything and everything. Oh, my aunt wants to go to Mexico. Great, we'll book it. Hey, we want to go to the Ritz in Orlando. Can you book it? Yes. We've got a honeymoon, all of it. And then as I started to look at the business, I realized we're just booking a lot of stuff. And the relationship isn't really there. And we're not able to curate these really special moments. Even if we have a client that wants that, we're so busy just booking that we're unable to accomplish that.
And we're not putting pictures of people's families on the pillow when they get there, which is the secret sauce. That's so amazing.
And so we just cut back and we just decided we really want to be a boutique agency that has very few clients, and we're going to focus on them.
Addition by subtraction.
So
I love it.
We started a VIP membership.
Good.
And those clients travel often and they are a priority. And we do book lots of other travel too. But we just decided if someone doesn't really care about the hotel experience, if someone doesn't want private guides and they don't care about having a private driver and they just want to wing it, it's not where we can really shine. So we're not doing them, we're not giving them what they need, and it's not fulfilling for us either.
Yeah.
And so we really narrowed it down, and now we have each of my girls in the office have about 10 members, and then they do some other trips here and there, and we're just able to do a lot more surprise and delight and really get to know them and know their kids and what they're into, and where can we, fit something in that's related to school that they're learning, or a hobby that they have. Where can we incorporate that into an itinerary? So I think it just allows us to be a lot more thoughtful.
So you've radicalized hospitality. I love it. This is fabulous. So on this podcast, we provide mentorship through the people that come on our episodes, and they teach their lived experience, their tricks and tips, their expertise. Tell us about a mentor that shaped you, and maybe a quote from that mentor as we wrap up here today.
I will never forget a guy that did my marketing when I had my clothing store early on, and he really taught me the importance of a brand. And as you know, from my whole team showing up in green,
we love it.
I almost wore green for you today, but
not going with those angel boots though. We needed those to be here. Come on.
He really taught me the importance of brand and the consistency of branding. And so I've taken that, and the website has to be the same, and the way that we speak has to be the same. There is a Katie Bean Travels brand that people know.
And it walks and talks and lives and breathes.
It doesn't have to be me.
Yep.
I mean, I don't want it to be me. I want it to be my team. We became a host agency last year, which transitioned us out of just being under a bigger host. And one of the reasons I did that is because I was getting all of the recognition for everything that was happening, and I really wanted my team to be able to shine. So anyhow, the importance of brand. I think that another really influential person was a guy, Nicholas, who I love dearly. He, when I worked for him, he really taught me the beauty of writing a good email.
Wow.
And
was he English?
He was not. He's actually
what
Georgian.
I learned how to do in England was write the passive aggressive email. Unfortunately, we're unable to accommodate that request.
Well, he used to me. I did some marketing for him for his company, and he used to say, "Why, this is so mean. What do you mean?" You need to say, "Of course, I'll give you the most beautiful."
Yeah.
It was an event company, and he did these really fun, high-end things. But I just thought, there is so much to opening a really beautifully well thought out email. And that's a big important thing for our brand.
Especially now that AI writes everybody's emails for them. Yeah, I love that.
And the other thing that he taught me was he used to say, you can teach people a lot of things, but you really cannot teach people to care.
Yep.
And I think that I really carried that when I started the company and I started to think about who I wanted on the team. As I said, it was never about their qualifications. If I really could tell that they cared, and would they light up. One of the things when we're hiring, we don't ask for a resume. We ask them to fill out an application, and we ask people to talk about an experience that they can share that they felt was 5-star or memorable. We also ask them to talk about something that an experience that they've had that was bad and why,
right,
and the impact that had on them. And then, what do they know about the company? Why do they want to work here? And those questions,
those are the tells there.
And you can ChatGPT that, but the genuine information is not coming through ChatGPT. So I think just the fact that you cannot teach people to care is probably the most important one. And I've been really lucky to find an exceptional team who truly does.
Well, that's a great place to end. Katie Bean, if people want to get more information about you, where can they go to get that?
They can find us on our Instagram, Katie Bean Travels, or on our website at katiebeantravels.com.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Betsy. It was so great seeing you. I appreciate it.
You too. Great conversation.